This is the recording for Test 5, Paleontology, Fossils in Geologic Time. Please put your first and last name on your test. Question number 1. What can scientists infer from fossils? So what kind of things can scientists tell based on the fossils they find? Organisms' environment, possible climate change, organism structure, organisms' activities, or all of the above. So what things can scientists infer from fossils? Number 2, this type of fossil gives evidence of an organism's activity. For example, footprints. Is it A, carbon film, B, cast, or C, a trace fossil? Number 3, a carbon film fossil of a fish or a plant is created by replacing organisms with minerals, exposure to heat and pressure that forces gases and liquids out of the organism's tissues, or tracks left behind in soft sediment. So that's a carbon film. How is a carbon film created? Number 4, an example of a fossil that is preserved remains is A, a mammoth preserved in ice for thousands of years, B, the impression of a plant in a rock, or C, a footprint of an ancient reptile. Which one of these is called preserved remains? Number 5, what type of fossil preservation is an impression or an imprint in a rock left by an ancient organism? An impression or an imprint in a rock. Is it A, mineral replacement, B, mold, or C, carbon film? Number 6, the preserved remains or evidence of ancient living things is A, catastrophism, a form of absolute dating, or is a fossil? Again, it's the preserved remains or evidence of an ancient living thing. Is it catastrophism, form of absolute dating, or is it a fossil? Number 7, the principle of uniformitarianism states that either A, conditions and organisms on Earth change in quick, violent events. Geologic processes that occur today are similar to those that have occurred in the past. Or is it the last one, the Earth has had the same climate for millions of years? So which one of these exemplifies uniformitarianism? Number 8, blank dating gives paleontologists an exact age of a rock using radioactive decay in the rocks. Is it absolute dating, relative dating, or online dating? So which one gives an exact age of the rocks? Number 9, the principle of superposition states that the youngest rock layers are on the top. Is that true or is that false? The youngest rock layers are on the top. True or false? Number 10, determining the order of events and the relative age of rocks by studying the position of rocks in a sequence is called relative dating, carbon dating, or speed dating. So you're determining either the order of events or the relative ages of rocks by studying the position of rocks in a sequence or in layers. That's called either relative dating, carbon dating, or speed dating. Which one? Number 11. So look at the sequence of rocks, the layers, and the intrusion. This states which of these rocks is the oldest. So A, C, or E. Which one is the oldest? What is the oldest rock? Number 12. As paleontologists look at rock layers from top to bottom, they expect ancient organisms to either be complex at the bottom and simple at the top, or be complex at the top and simple at the bottom. So whenever paleontologists look at the rock layers and they look from the top to the bottom, where would complex or simple organisms be? Either complex at the bottom and simple on top, or complex at the top and simple on the bottom. And last but not least, if the history of the Earth were a school day, during what hour would humans and dinosaurs exist in? Yes, it would be the same hour. Which hour would humans and dinosaurs exist if the history of the Earth were a school day? First hour, fourth hour, lunch, or seventh hour? Here is part 2 of our paleontology test, fossils in geologic time. Number 1 on the written portion, on the paper part, it says, explain what a paleontologist might infer, right here, might infer if he or she found an abundant amount of fossils of sea creatures in Missouri. So, if a paleontologist found a lot of fossils of sea creatures in Missouri, what would that tell that paleontologist? Something. Explain what that would tell him. Number 2, explain what a paleontologist might infer if he or she found a fossil of a tropical plant in Antarctica. Okay? What would happen if the paleontologist found a tropical plant in Antarctica? What would that tell the paleontologist? Number 3, explain what a paleontologist might infer if he or she found many sets of dinosaur footprints in the same rocks in the same area. So what would that tell the paleontologist if they found many sets of dinosaur footprints in the same rocks in the same area? And a little hint, the footprints are of the same type of dinosaur. Same type. Number 4, use the diagram on the right to put the rock layers A, B, C, D, and E in order from youngest to oldest. So youngest at the top right here and oldest down here on the bottom. Which one would be the oldest down here and the youngest up here? Put them in order. Number 5, what is the difference between relative dating and absolute dating? So relative dating and absolute dating, what is the difference? They're both ways to date rocks, but why are they different? Alright, on to the fossils part on the back. Here is a picture that you've seen in class, and it has a lot of fossils, a bunch of rock layers with fossils in them. So the key on the right tells you the fossils that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the trilobite, which looks like this, the amphibian, a fish, and a fern plant. So we're going to look at all 4 of those. First question says, use the diagram and fossil key above to answer questions 6 and 7. So number 6 is, which type of fossil is the oldest in this rock record? How do you know? Which fossil, pick one of these 4, is the oldest in this rock record? So tell me which one's the oldest, and then tell me, how do you know? Number 7 says, put these fossil organisms in order from oldest to youngest. Put the fossil organisms in order from oldest to youngest. So you need to use these 4 types of fossils. And you're going to do this. You're going to use this fossil key. So you're going to use these 4 types of fossils here. So which ones, based on this picture, are the oldest, and which ones are the youngest? So put them in order down here. So the oldest goes right here, youngest here. And the bonus is all about scientific notation. We have not covered this in class, but if you want to take a stab at it, you may. It says express 4,803,000,000 in scientific notation. There's an example above it that tells you kind of how to do it, but we haven't gone over this in class, so this is just a bonus question. Then number 2 says express 6.399 times 10 to the negative 6th power in standard form. So you're going to take it out of this form and put it in regular number form. Again, just a bonus. So if you're not sure, you can either guess or you don't have to do it. Alright, that was the reading of the Paleontology test, Fossil and Geologic Time. Hope you did your best.